Good morning. Another day to be a Spurs fan. As always, it is the 1st of April. I've got to admit, the first message I woke up to this morning did say Ange has been sacked. In my old 42-year-old brain, I didn't put two and two together that it was April Fool's, and I was happy for about 0.5 seconds of my life. He's still here, as is Lubo. He hasn't gone anywhere since last night. He's just been sitting on that chair.
Haven't moved. Not moved.
Fresh off of yesterday's furious debate. How are you, Lubo? Happy Tuesday to you.
It is,
Happy
yes.
Tuesday.
All good today. I hope you let me get a word in today. Be appreciated.
Oh, mate. Listen, it's always good fun in YouTube world. Look, I'm not a finance expert. I don't need to go deep into the finances. What I am, not an expert, what I am, my specialist subject, I suppose, the fact that I talk about it all day, every day online, is football. And listen, that's what I want to talk about this morning. I want to talk about football. And Lubo, for me, as I tried to get this answer yesterday about 95 times and couldn't really get an answer, my absolute worry about Tottenham Hotspur right now is this season, we saw what the club implemented whilst knowing we had 4 competitions, i.e. European football this season. If we do not get European football next year, my worry is that's going to be even more fuel to the fire to say, let's trim the wage bill a bit more. We're not going to spend big. Right. Obviously, there's people who think otherwise and think we will go big. What do you think's going to happen, assuming... Let's play devil's advocate. We don't win the Europa League. We don't have Europe next season. What are you expecting from the summer?
I expect maybe 3 or 4 outs and 3 or 4 ins. I expect Romero to go, that money to be used to cover any losses from European football and lost gate receipts, match day receipts. Because obviously there won't be any European football, so we'll lose a minimum of 4 games, I think, or is it? I think it's 3 in the Conference League, isn't it? They have 6 in the group stage, like so we lose a minimum of 3 home matches. This isn't a football club anymore. This is an entertainment. As I said, it's in the name of the owners. Is it Entertainment National Investment Company? I think it stands for. They're quite brazen about it. They're not interested in the football. It's all about the bottom line. So the football will suffer. I think we could probably expect maybe 8th, 9th, 10th next season. Hopefully, all depends. All depends if we have another manager. If they get rid of this idiot, then we've got a chance of finishing higher. Whether it will be good enough for European football for the season after, who knows? Hold on, sorry.
So loud. You're the loudest ring.
When I turned it off, I turned the ringer off.
It's all right. It's funny.
All depends if we get another manager. I can't see how he can survive if he doesn't win the Europa League this year.
Sure.
We'll finish somewhere between 13th and 16th. I think we're in a group with United, Everton, and West Ham now. Hard to see that we're going to catch up the others based on Liverpool away, Villa away. We've got Brighton, we've got Forest, we've got West Ham away.
Chelsea, Villa.
Yeah, who always raise their game. So it's difficult to see where we're going to get a really good run, a strong run to finish the season with. And I think we just got another mediocre year next year. Hopefully, you'll see players coming through. Hopefully, Mikey Moore will be at the club. He'll start getting proper minutes. You'll see Graham Bergvall move on to the next level. And hopefully, maybe they'll bring in 1 or 2 players who will help the club as well. And again, it's down to systems, isn't it, as well? New manager, new system, organised system, so we can actually play a proper, mature game of football rather than this
for sure.
I'm under 11 assistant. It's a joke.
That's all I want at the moment. I know there's all the talk about winning the Europa League. All I want at the moment, I want a football team back. I want a football formation back. I want a shape. I want some sort of tactics to be implemented. And I know there's loads of debate. We'll get into it a bit later, Lubo, and Chris B is going to be joining us a bit later as well. Loads of debate about, well, if he wins the Europa League, does he stay? Does he go? Look, for me, as I've said for over a year, I don't care what this man wins. I can't watch this football week in, week out. My concern is this, like you said, 3 or 4 going, 3 or 4 coming. The 3 or 4 that will come in if we don't get European football, for me, I just don't know where it's going to be, because you and I talked on the phone yesterday and we were looking at some of the free transfers as well, Lubo. And even some of these free transfers, they're not particularly free, are they? There's a lot of money that goes into it. And the example we talked about was Jonathan David of Lille. And I might get the exact numbers wrong, but I believe that he wants 9 million in wages a year, which works out to about 145, 150 grand a week, which is in itself is fine. It was something like a 10 million pound fee for his agent. And then there was like a 15 million signing on bonus. So suddenly we're looking at a 5-year contract at roughly 50 million pound for his wages. You're looking at 15 million pounds on top of that 65. You look at another 10 million for his agent. You're now suddenly looking at a deal over 4 or 5 years of 75 million pounds. I can't see that we're going to do things like that. So I think we're going to end up going for 18-year-olds, for 17-year-olds, for 19-year-olds. Lubo, we can't keep doing that, can we? Because we will fall further and further behind if we keep doing this.
I think for me, if you've got a squad of 25 and you've got 9 really good kids in that squad, and you've got 16 very good established professionals, then I think that's a good combination. Because if you've got really good kids coming through, then it's criminal not to bring them through and not to see how far they can go and whether they're good enough for Premier League football. So for me, I'm not unhappy. Morning, Jimmy. I'm not unhappy. I'm not unhappy if there are really good kids that are going to improve the squad. How good anybody is, to be honest, is difficult to work out because of the system we're playing. Because you've literally you pretty much only got the 2 centre backs who are playing a high line, probably that only suits Van der Ven. You've got Vicario and maybe Solanke that are playing in their right positions and playing and they're not playing a proper system. So it is difficult to get a gauge on how good or bad the players are in the squad.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that in any way, shape or form. I know we disagree on some things, but I think in the main, we always end up back at the same place. Look, my opinion is that we've got enough kids now. When you look at Bergvall, you look at Gray, you look at Sarr and Udogie, who are just that year above. You've got Donnelly coming back, Phillips coming back, Vuskovic coming back, Mikey Moore, Lankshear's coming back, Valise, Odeberg, Yang. I feel like there's a lot of kids there now. And the
one guy I'd like to really see give a go, who's smashed it up, he's been probably been their best player at Notts County, is George Abbott, who looked really good to be under 21s. And there's another one who again is versatile in terms of how many positions he can play in. People have forgotten about him. There are so many good kids that are out on loan. Where do you fit them all in? But it's a squad game, and as we've seen this season with the amount of injuries we've had, you had a situation where Gray, who's a central midfielder, is having to fill in because we're short of centre backs, which is absolutely crazy for a Premier League side.
Well, so, I mean, the centre back issue is interesting because again, lots of the talk at the moment, Lubo, is about Christian Romero. And listen, I said this yesterday. I'll reiterate the point today. You and I talked about this on the phone. If we do not get Europe, I know people will think that we will sell Romero and reinvest the money in a centre back. We won't. We won't need to, Lubo. If we don't have Europe next year, you're going to have, let's just assume Romero goes. And you and I think me and you agree on this. Stel and the boys said they thought 35, 40 million at the weekend. I think it will be 55, 60. I think it will be more than that money. Let's assume Romero goes to Atletico Madrid, right? Let's just say 55, 60 million pounds he goes to Atletico Madrid. That 55, 60 million is the same amount of money that Aston Villa have made roughly already this season just through Champions League. Now, they could make more, because if they get to the semis, I think it's like another 10 million. And then if you get to the final, it's like another 15 million. Like, so there's add-ons. Yeah. But that 55, 60 million for me will cover European football. That for me will be, well, hang on, we've had one player. It's offset that we haven't got Champions League football this year from the revenue. All right, it won't cover match day tickets and stuff like that, but it will cover the revenue. Everyone thinking we're going to go and buy again. You're going to have Mickey van der Ven, Radu Dragusin, Danso, right, as your three senior centre-halves. You've now got Vuskovic, Phillips, and Dorrington all to come back. Now, I don't expect... sorry, go on.
And Davis.
Yeah, I'm trying to forget that he's been here for 15 years. And yes, you have got Ben Davies as well. Do you believe if that happens that he would reinvest that money in another centre-half? Or do you think there's enough there to play one game a week?
If you've got a manager coming, depends what manager comes in. If you're playing, if you brought in, say, someone like a Glasner, who plays three at the back, then you need six centre-backs. Sure. If you're playing two at the back, you probably need five. So,
of which would you be happy though? With those, let's assume you need five centre backs. Let's assume we're playing a back four, going into no Europe next year. Would you be happy with those five? Dragusin, Van der Ven, Danso, Phillips, Vuskovic. Would you be happy with that as a five? Two youngsters to come through, three international centre halves. Would you be happy with that?
Probably. I think so. I think so.
Not with this manager, Lubo, not with this manager. But if you gave those three centre-backs, Van der Ven, Danso and Dragusin, to Marco Silva, Glasner, Iriola, they'll make it work. They will make that work.
Yeah, I think if you have a manager that plays three at the back, I think he'll go and buy another centre back and probably sell two or three. Move one of them out on loan, should I say? Because I think you need, if you're playing three at the back, you need more than three established centre backs.
Of course.
You can't just have kids just to come in.
Of course.
Vuskovic, I'm quite excited about. I think anybody who is playing top level football in Croatia at 16 and playing well and getting plaudits, and then goes into Belgium for 17 and has been smashing it up there as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does when he goes the next step up into the Premier League. So going to be interesting. He's meant to be built like a beast. He's terrific in the air, very quick. Scores one or two goals as well. So that's going to be exciting. Dorrington, I think, can only get better. Phillips has been doing okay at Stoke. At least he's been getting regular playing time. Be interesting to see how good Phillips is back when he's back at Spurs. We don't know about these players. If Andrew brought Phillips in when he lost Romero and Van der Ven for Chelsea in November 23, at least we'd have had some sort of idea about Phillips. So I don't know. I can't. Levy won't sell Romero 50, 65. He
won't get 100 million. He won't ask for 100 million. I think what you've got to remember, Boomverse, here is Romero behind the scenes isn't happy. And when you've got a player that isn't happy, starting to cause ruptions, Daniel, with 2 years left on his contract, Levy would let him go for 60, wouldn't he? He'd let him go for 60.
I think he may put 100 million on his head. Listen, he wanted 130 for Eriksen. thinking that he could do the same as Chelsea got when Hazard went for 130 with 1 year left as well. Yeah. And he finished up with 17 million for Eriksen. So
Yeah.
he'll be mindful not to get into that sort of situation where he only ends up with maybe 30 million. Because for me, Romero, and I said it again, I know you don't agree. I think Romero is our best player at the moment.
We're always going to disagree on that one.
Sure.
But
and whatever happens, the problem is that if Romero does go, if he was to replace him, we all know that it would be a downgrade.
But I think the replacement is there. I genuinely think the replacement is there in Kevin Danso. I do. And this is the thing. People won't, I know they'll take what I'm about to say in a very weird way, Lubo. And again, we had a really long chat yesterday on the phone and we talked about this. For me, what we need next season, more than anything, I think we need some solid players. Now, I'm not talking about, oh my God, we've got to go and buy Mo Salahs, Virgil van Dijks. I think we need some solid players that play week in, week out, that give you 7 and 8s. And I'm going to use Crystal Palace as an example of this, Lubo. Right? When I look at Crystal Palace, I look at players like Munoz, the right wing back. Munoz isn't a big, sexy name, isn't massively known in football. Yeah, no one's talking about him as one of the best right backs in the league. Every time I watch Palace, I go, good player. I don't go overboard about him. I don't start calling him generational. I'm not calling him world class. I just look at him and go, good player. Gives his all, solid performances. Same with Lacroix. Same with Richards. These are just the Palace players. Same with Mitchell. Same with Lerma. Spurs, for me, next season need to get to a point where we actually have that for a year before we worry about winning titles and get a solid team where we go, they give everything.
What you need are a few leaders. You need established players, and you need leaders. You need players that you know consistently are gonna play well. So I've got to shoot for 20 minutes, but I'm back soon.
Yeah. I'll see you when you get back.
I'll see you when you get back. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Lubo's going to be joining us a little bit later on. Chris B's going to be joining us in a minute. Look, I think the key thing for me here is I think we need a year of consolidation. I know we're all talking about, getting a new manager and winning things, getting in the top 4. I think we need a year of consolidation. At the moment, this last 18 months has been so bad by this manager. None of the players seem happy. And Maz made a brilliant point at the weekend. He said, when you look at it, the 3 players that Ange picked as his leaders, Son is completely down tools this season, doesn't look interested. Romero's down tools, doesn't really care, praising the Argentina national medical team. Apparently, he's had a bust up with Ange. Maddison, apparently he's had a couple of bust ups with Ange, saying on the touchline, same thing every week. What does that tell you? That the 3 leaders are not even behind him. Matt, stop it. You're not getting Inzaghi. Stop it. Or I will kick you out. It's just pathetic at this stage, Matt. Stop it. You say all these silly things and everyone just looks at you like, what's he talking about? Inzaghi is not leaving the best team in Italy to come and manage Tottenham Hotspur. Stop. Just stop. Robinson from Fulham is another one. Robinson from Fulham. There's players like this all over the place. When I hear all the time, name me the top players we signed. Sure. Name me top players Fulham have signed. Bournemouth have signed. Forest have signed. Brighton have signed. Brentford have signed. All of these teams are above us. They don't make top signings. They make sensible signings. They make good, solid, sensible signings. I think we have made some good, solid, sensible signings, by the way, people. I do. I just think we've got a manager that doesn't know how to get that out of them. And the worrying thing about this is it doesn't seem to matter how bad this manager does. He has got this army of people that just excuse him. I saw another video today. Again, nice guy, but Alan on Spurs Logic TV. Now, the guy who told me we're going to finish 3rd with 81 points. Now he's making videos. But fixture congestion. Sorry, didn't Tottenham know we had Europa League plus League Cup plus FA Cup plus the Premier League? Sorry, didn't we know that going into this season? Didn't he know that when he predicted third and 81 points? It's like we've got this. It's like we've got this inability to accept that our manager's shit. Like I just don't get it. I don't understand how the whole fan base right at this moment is going, this is dreadful. How have we not got to that stage where everybody's going, yeah, even I like Tange, but it hasn't worked. We've still got people. You got people like Matt, 3 to 5 years. But look at it, it's not good. It's not good. He's not coached anyone. No one's got better. We're now making excuses that our squad isn't good. It's mad. Matt, stop. Please, Matt, please stop. Conte didn't have a club. Inzaghi is at Inter Milan. You're really not. Stop. Savva, learn. Savva, learn. I need to learn better. People, trolls like Matt, I just can't learn. Foxy, completely agree. Dougie Freedman, one of the most underrated directors of football in the game. Glasner getting all the plaudits, and of course he deserves that, but Dougie deserves more credit. I'll tell you what, he's just getting the right players for the manager. You know what makes me laugh, Foxy? This isn't a difficult concept. The problem Spurs have got is that how do you get the right player for Ange? How do you get the right player that plays in a kamikaze system? No other clubs play kamikaze systems. So how do you go and scout a player and go, that will be perfect for Ange? But how do you get that? How do you find midfielders that don't want to be in any sort of structured team? And this is what, we have a go at Bentancur, Basuma. And listen, I'm not the biggest fan of these players, Bentancur, Basuma and Sarr. We have a go at them. We have a go at Porro and Udogie. But you go and get any midfielders. I'll tell you what, let's have a look at a solid midfield. Would it be fair to say, guys, let's have a look at the Premier League table. Let's not pick anyone amazing. Let's have a look at Brighton. Right? Brighton, who are 13 points clear of Tottenham, 1 point off the Champions League. Brighton's midfield that started the other day was Belieber and Ayari, two very young players. Now imagine those two young players being shifted into Ange's system. Belieber, by the way, very good player from what I've seen. I think he's got a lot of abilities. We'll see how he continues to grow. Yeah. But what does a player like that look like if you chuck him into this system with Ange? What does he look like? I'll tell you what he looks like. He looks nowhere near the level of playing in the Brighton system because we don't have any tactics. It's wide open. It's gung-ho. How many people have told us this? Look at what Eric Dyer said about his lack of tactical coaching. And what happened was when Eric Dyer came out and talked about the lack of tactical coaching, right? He turned around. Fans turn around and they say, but that's Eric Dyer. It's like we don't want to listen to him. We don't want to listen to anyone. Razzle, this is the point. I don't think there is a sensible signing with this manager. Who in world football do you guys look at right now and go, that guy is bang on for Ange Ball? I just don't see it. Everybody's out of position. Everybody's out of shape. There's no defensive patterns. There's no defensive drills. You can see it from the way we play. So when we're talking about, but these aren't Ange signings. Well, what's an Ange signing? No one can tell me this. For example, my mate Matt in the chat, right, will go, they're all club signings. Cool. All right. Name me 5 Ange signings. Name me 5 players that Ange would want that you would know for a fact. Ange signings that come in and do really well. Gaurav, he is. Glasner is a top manager. Look at what he's doing with Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, for me, have got a very small squad, not a lot of depth, and look how they're getting better and better and better as the season goes on. Look how we're getting worse and worse and worse as the season goes on, because the players are learning, they're adapting, he's coaching them, he's drilling into them what they need. Now, yeah, people are talking in the chat about a DM, a number 6. Sure, but even if you've got a DM and a number 6, everyone else can't be kamikaze gung-ho. Can't just stick a number 6 in there and expect he's going to do everything. Matt, please stop. Please stop. Why? Why on earth? Everyone in the chat, let's have this conversation. Why would Glasner not be able to cope? Based on what? See, when people like Matt say shit like this, it makes you know they're a troll, doesn't it? Why would Glasner not be able to cope? This is a Europa League winning manager. Why would Glasner not be able to cope with the pressure? What pressure at Spurs? I'll tell you what. Do you know how you all know Matt is sorry, you're a donut, Matt. What pressure? Ange is sitting 14th, and idiots like Matt are sitting there going, give him 3 to 5 years. What pressure? What pressure is there? There's no pressure. You've got fans making videos about this guy saying, give him another year, give him time. Oh, poor Ange, Ange this, Ange that. But then we want to talk about pressure. What pressure? Pressure? If there was pressure, he would have been sacked a year ago. Pressure. What pressure? What are we doing here? What are we actually doing here in this fan base? How are we all not the same? How are we all not agreeing that this manager is shocking? Right? It's absolutely ridiculous. As I said, people like Matt have the club they deserve. They're not real Spurs fans. You have the club you deserve. 14th, out of cups. You have the club you deserve. It's not just him, by the way. There's so many out there. Exactly, Foxy. Foxy, the problem is these fans don't watch any other football. Foxy, I know you watch all football. They don't watch any other football. They think that no other club comes with pressure. Apparently Spurs do. A club that have won 1 trophy in 17 years. Apparently we have pressure. It's utterly madness. We then have people going, but we're a big club. A big club that hasn't sacked a manager who's lost 15 of 29 games. That's not a big club. If anything, we're a small club now. If anything, we're a small club now. That's the problem. I'm seeing how many videos I'm seeing from YouTubers. It's mad. Still backing this guy. Sacking Ange won't change anything. Sacking Ange changes everything. Sacking Ange changes everything. The problem is, too many people now, they have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on their shit opinion about this manager. They have tripled, quadrupled down on a bad manager. And that's the problem. Rather than going, yeah, we got that wrong. Everyone just goes, head in the sand. No, it's going to be all right. I mean, Alan on Spurs Logic TV, again, as I said, nice guy, but fixture congestion. I saw he did a video the other day trying to dispel the myth of Brennan Johnson's tap-ins. What, we're making videos now to big up Brennan Johnson, who's an awful footballer. Videos on why Spurs, we're going to see the real Spurs turn up on Thursday night. What's the real Spurs? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're talking about Glasner. Glasner's managed teams to European success. And we're talking about no pressure. What are we absolutely doing here? Our fan base is just shot to pieces. Just get behind them. Just say nice things. That's being a good fan. No, it's not. Accepting this utter shit clown as a manager. That's where we are. That's where we are as a fan base right now. This manager would have been hounded out years gone by for being utterly shocking. And we've got half this fan. They're doing it for clicks and likes. They're doing it for clicks and likes. They're doing it to be different. He's not bad. He's a shocking manager. He is an absolute shit show of a manager. Should we have a look at how much of a shit show of a manager he is? For all the Matts and those people out there that deserve this, this is for you. This is for you. This is for all of those people that want Ange. This is for you, okay? Let's have a look at this. Courtesy of my mate Johnny. Said defeat at Chelsea on Thursday would see Ange become the first Tottenham boss to lose his first 4 league games against Chelsea. Utterly embarrassing. Utterly embarrassing. No side has earned fewer points in the Premier League London derbies this season than Tottenham, who have lost 5 of 9. 5 of 9 of the London derbies. Again, just a shit show. From November the 6th, 2023, we have suffered more league defeats than wins. That is just unbelievable. 27 defeats to 22 wins. In total, since November the 5th, 2023, before the Chelsea game at home, we have lost 35 matches. We've lost 35 games of football in 18 months. It's mad. Look at these facts, and you've got idiots like Matt. He's saying to me, no need to be condescending. You're being an idiot. Sorry. Apparently, I'm not applying context. What are you? Look at the context. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Look at this shit. Only 4 ever-present Premier League clubs have taken fewer points than us over the last 2 seasons. And we will drop 2 more places should we lose to Chelsea and Everton and West Ham win this week. Don't worry. Don't worry, though. There's no context from me. Let's carry on. No shots on target in the opening 45 minutes at Fulham meant it was the 9th time we have failed to register a shot on target in the first half of a game under Postecoglou. This is more than our last 2 permanent managers combined, Conte and Nuno Santos. Now, isn't it funny that I always get told that they're negative managers and we play good football under Ange? But look, these stats don't tell you that. Our away form, only relegation, Leicester and Southampton have lost more Premier League away games than Spurs. It's utterly mental. Look at these stats. We have lost 15 out of 29, taking us over the 50. It's actually 52%. We have lost 19 games in total with 11 games to go with a 43% win percentage. And the last one, we have a points per game average for the season of 1.17. But don't worry, guys, because I'm not applying context. What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Look at those stats, and we've still got fake fans who want it. Look at it. The funny thing is, Savva wanted Ange. Yes, then he did awfully, and I wanted him out. That's how it works when someone's not very good at their job. It wasn't like he's my number 1 choice, but when we were linked with him and he finally came, I said, cool, sure, let's see what he's made of. But very quickly I went, nah, this is not the manager for me. It's utterly crazy. People will say, Savva, they're your stats. They're not my stats. They're not my stats. That's Tottenham stats under Angepostecoglou. 35 defeats. 35 defeats in 18 months. That is utterly shocking. Utterly disgusting. And I'm sitting here hearing, toxic fans want him out. Toxic? Isn't it toxic seeing what he's doing to our football club? Isn't it toxic seeing the same thing over and over again? Toxic is the fans that want him in. How can we want this in? You watch, if he loses to Chelsea, I'm not saying we will. Talk about that later. You watch if we lose to Chelsea. Don't worry. Doesn't matter. It's all about the Europa League. It's utterly, utterly crazy. What are we watching? How on earth have we watched 18 months of this and still fans can't admit they were wrong about him? 18 months. At big clubs, they don't let this go on for more than 3 months. At big clubs, this is sorted out, gone. See you later. We've got the cheek to call ourselves a big club while sitting here and watching us lose most weeks. What are we doing? What are we doing here? How on earth have we got anybody watching this and saying, this is the manager I want? And I don't care if he wins the Euro. I don't care if he wins it. I cannot watch this football week in, week out. It is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Everybody can see it apart from that section of our fan base. That section of our fan base that can't admit they're wrong. I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. I'm utterly, well and truly baffled by the whole thing. I'm well and truly baffled by it all. I'm well and truly baffled. This notion that you can't just keep sacking managers. Well, if they're shit, yes, you can. If somebody is not good at their job in any walk of life, they lose their job. They lose their job. I don't know how much evidence at this stage needs to be given. How much evidence needs to be given before people go, the people that go, I think for myself. Do you? Do you think for yourself? If you're looking at all of these facts and evidence and you think for yourself, you're not thinking very clearly, are you? We're in a position now where, as a fan base, the next manager who comes in, everyone who wants Ange, they're not going to back him immediately. You know they're not. You know they're not. They're going to base everything. Oh, Ange would have won that game. Oh, he's lost the game. Get him out. We sit and watch. We sit and watch week in, week out this god-awful football, and I'm told patience. I'm told context. What context? Someone tell me the context as to why we're so bad right now. Someone give me the context. Someone give me the context as to why we're at a situation. We're at a situation now where we've got so many fans that are seeing green shoots of this manager, but are seeing him lose nearly every other week. What's going on? What have I missed? What have I missed? And we can blame it on ENIC. ENIC aren't the reason we're 14th. ENIC might be the reason we don't win titles, for sure. For sure. But let's not confuse that with being 14th. This squad isn't 14th. This squad is not a 14th place squad. This squad should not be sitting 10 points off the top half of the table. This squad should not be sitting here with 15 defeats. This squad should not have lost that many games in 18 months. But Demetrius, no, they're a well-organised team. Just because a team's good at the back doesn't mean that... I'm just going to get rid of Matt. He's an idiot. Sorry, Matt, you're going. You're an idiot now. Palace are a very defensive team. No, Palace are a good team defensively. When I watched them play, sorry, were they a defensive team when they ripped open Fulham 3-0 at the weekend? Were they a defensive team when they put 4 goals past Aston Villa? What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing? I just don't feel like we watch any other teams play. I keep hearing, oh, I wouldn't want Frank. Cool. Wouldn't want Iriola. All right. Wouldn't want Silva. Now Glasner wouldn't be accepted. Next, they'll be telling me you wouldn't want Klopp and Pep. What are we doing? We're trying so hard to defend an awful manager that we're belittling managers that have done really well. It's utterly, utterly madness. It's utter madness. I just don't know what to say. Dean, bang on. And they're bloody good at the counter-attack as well. When they get that ball and they get the likes of Eze, Sarr, Mateta, Munoz, Mitchell going forward, very good. People don't understand. As I've said, Dean, I've said for so many years, so many people don't seem to understand football. So many people. It's like, look how many people talk about Jose Mourinho. Oh, he's always been a negative, boring manager. He broke records in the Premier League with Chelsea and La Liga with Real Madrid for goals scored. But yet, oh, he's a defensive, negative manager. What? William, mate, I'm genuinely concerned about going into any game with Ange. This isn't just Chelsea. This isn't a big London derby. I'm genuinely concerned going into any game of football. Look at Fulham. Look at that Fulham game. What an absolute shit show. 3 defensive-minded midfielders playing up against Fulham. Fulham are a good team. Good team. No more, no less. And he puts 3 defensive-minded midfielders in. What are we doing? That's the manager that people are telling me. No context. Of course there's context. The context is the manager's shit. The manager is absolutely shit. I don't know how many more facts and stats. Oh, do you know what, right? I was told, right? I was told, wasn't I? Do you remember when I first did a spreadsheet about how bad Ange was? Let's have a look. See if I've got it. Nope. Where is it? Is that it? So I first did this spreadsheet. Let me see if I can bring this up. Can I bring this up? I did this. I don't even know when I did this. Share screen. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see that, right? I did this. I want to say, oh gosh, I want to say September, October, September maybe. I did this about Ange. And I looked at that time, everyone's last 31 games for Spurs. And I was told at this time, it will get better. You're picking at one moment in time. Since then, this has got absolutely worse. Imagine now I did his last 31 games. Imagine now I did his last 31 games, what it would look like. It wouldn't be a plus goal difference. It wouldn't be plus goals for versus against. It wouldn't be a win rate of 41%. Since then, he spent more money. The win percentage will be down. So in the last 6 months since I've done this, maybe 7 months, this has just got worse and worse and worse. Worse and worse and worse. And Lubo, so I was just showing, I put this together at the back end of September, beginning of October last year. Right? And it was looking at the last 31 games for those managers in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. Right? And that was Ange's last 31 games at the time. Imagine I now did this again, Lubo, and changed Ange's last 31 games.
Listen, we're in the waiting room, aren't we, for him to go? That's where we stand at the moment, isn't it? I don't know how he's going to survive these figures are the record's horrendous. It's just getting worse. So, for anybody who wants Spurs even to be back to where we were with sort of top four for 3 or 4 years running with under Poch, we're miles away from that at the moment. And going back to Glasner, because he's probably the top person at the moment. He's the manager in form. Chelsea made a profit of 128 million. A lot of that was probably they got 50 million for Gallagher. That was all profit. There were probably other kids that they'd made money. I think did they sell the hotel? I think they probably sold the hotel, because that 128 million was probably a big loss prior to selling the hotel, if my memory serves me correctly. It's just a matter of time, really, till we get a new manager. And you look at, Palace's results. I think since they beat us, I think they're third in the table.
Oh, they're flying.
Right. So, they are absolutely flying. They haven't conceded a goal away from home since they lost. I think they lost to Arsenal in the League Cup, or they beat Arsenal in the League Cup. I'm trying to think.
I think didn't they lose to us? Didn't I've got this feeling Gabriel Jesus scored a couple in the game, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That he did. Yeah. That was the last time they conceded away from home, I think.
It's amazing what a manager does.
Sorry?
It's amazing what a good manager does.
Well, there you go. So listen, once we can get a proper manager in, then we can start looking like a proper football team again. But there's no way, if you look at the results since Chelsea last season, we're 12th from Chelsea onwards, and now we're 14th. So it's pretty consistent.
We've got the consistency we've been asking for. Lubo, I put these up while you were away.
Yeah.
Let's start with this one. I know you've probably seen this from Johnny, but look, 35 defeats since that defeat against Chelsea. 35 defeats. That's 35 times we've played, finished a game and gone, there's another defeat. There's another defeat.
Yeah.
Look at it. The London Derby record, the Chelsea record, the home record.
If you look at that, what did we do? From Chelsea onwards, we played 30 games last season. And how many have we played this year? We've played 29 in the league. We've played 2 in the FA Cup. That's 31. League Cup, we've played, let's show you, Coventry, United, City, Liverpool twice, 5 there. So 7 in domestic cups. And we've played 10 in Europe. So 17, we played 46 games, plus 30 last year, 76. So we lost 35 out of 76.
Mate, it's mental. So it's every week. It's every other week we're losing.
Yeah, that's right. It's we're 3 defeats off one every other game. So that's
you've got to laugh, haven't you?
That's where we are.
Aren't we at the stage where you've got to laugh at how bad that record is, and he's still backed? He's still backed, Lubo.
We're on schedule. If you look at all the points that if you look at the league record, I think we're on schedule. If it carries on the way it's going, I think for 48, 49 points this season, which we'll be lucky to get with the games we've got.
I don't think we're going to get them. I don't think we're going to get it. So hang on. You say 48, 49?
That's based on an average of, where are we now? We've got, how many points we've got? 34?
We've got 34, which is utterly
Divide by 29 times 38. It's 44 and a half. 44, 45 points. That's what we're on schedule for this season.
But can you see another 10, 11 points? I can't see it.
We were getting regular mid-60s, 65, 68, 70, 72. We got 86 under Poch in 1 year. But taking that aside, we got 71 the year we finished third to Leicester. And I think we got 69 and 66, I think, the other 2 years under Poch. And here we are looking at 44, 45. So that just shows you how much we've regressed since Pochettino. With Conte, we got 60 plus points, finishing 4th, and he left us in 4th place. So if you look at where we were March 23.
There you go, Lubo. It's almost like I had it ready.
There you go.
Like I had it ready.
So
look at that. So 66 points, 60 points, 71, 62, 59, 71, 77, 86. That's our last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. And we're now sitting on 34 bloody points.
that,
34.
listen, if anybody needed convincing, just have a look at those points totals. And you've got to look at yourself and think to yourself, am I happy with 44 points? I mean, having seen all of that.
But there are. There are
yeah.
a lot of them that are happy. I'll tell you what, let's go up a little bit on that table, shall we? Let's see the last time we got anywhere near 44. Right. So 86, 70, 64, 69.
I think you're looking at 2004 probably.
Let's have a look. Okay. 08, 09, we got 51, which we're 17.
That was 49 from the last 30 because we got when after Harry came in.
Yeah.
Which is just over 1.6 points per game, which wasn't bad considering we were rock bottom.
So have a look here, though. So 51. The year before
46.
that, 46, which we might
11.
get to.
That was the Ramos year we won the League Cup.
We might get to it. We might do. Before that, 60, 65, 52. So
45.
45 there. 45 in 0304. Before that, 44 is, I believe, our lowest ever Premier League points tally here.
Which was the year that Klinsmann kept us up when he came back.
So 44 points, 14th place. Sound familiar?
Yeah, well, that's where we are.
So we've gone back. What was that? 20? Is that 28 seasons ago?
Yeah.
28 seasons ago. Wow. 28 seasons. And I've got people in the chat telling me, but context, Savva, but context. Well, the context is at the moment, as we sit now, we're basically 50% less points than last season. I know we've got 9 games to play, but that's where we are at the moment. Look, last year, 66 points. We've got 34 at the moment. Look at it. Utter shambles at this football club right now. Utter shambles. And we still can't get on the same page as a fan base to say he needs to go. I'm absolutely mind blown by this. I truly am. I truly am mind blown by it. It's impossible we finish below 40 points. That's not
unfortunately, Matt, it's not impossible. If you look at the games, we should lose to Chelsea, we should beat Southampton. So you got 37. And then you go from there, you've got Wolves away. You know, they're not quite clear. They're 9 points clear of Ipswich, but you won't find Wolves being complacent about that 9-point gap. So we may get a draw there, 38. Then you've got Forest at home.
I don't see us getting anything there.
Forest at home, Liverpool away, West Ham away. You know, could quite easily lose all 3. You've got Palace at home, Palace are flying, Villa away, and then you've got Brighton at home. So we could lose the bulk of the games, the majority of the games that are left this season. So, 40 points, it's not impossible that we finish. I think it's unlikely we finish with only 5 points from the last, 9 or 8? Last 9 games.
So we've got 27 points to play for. So the maximum points we can finish on this season, if I do quick maths, is going to be 61 if we win all of our 9 games. I don't think we're going to win another 3 games this season. So I think we finish lower than 44 points, which is our lowest ever in the Premier League. Chris, let me welcome you to the show. How are you, buddy? You good?
Good. How about you both doing?
Morning, Chris.
Man, good. We were just looking at the Spurs points tallies for the last 20 seasons, of which it was riveting reading. And I was just trying to work out why people still like this manager. Look, Chris, all the financials came out yesterday. We all know now that it's literally Europa League or bust for Tottenham Hotspur. where are you at with it all in terms of, I'll ask you a really blunt question first and foremost, just to get you indoctrinated to my chat. If Ange Postecoglou wins the Europa League by hook or crook, do you still want him at the club next season?
No, he's not done enough to warrant staying at the club. We're not going to win the Europa League, but in the event we got lucky and did, that shouldn't save his bacon, so to speak.
So even delivering a European, I agree with you, by the way, but even delivering a European trophy that we've not won since 1984 isn't enough to save him?
100%. You look at examples along the line. Man United 2 seasons on a bounce. Ten Hag won them, the League Cup and the FA Cup. They decided he wasn't the man, got rid of him. Chelsea appointed Matteo Di Matteo for a short period of time. He won them the European Cup. Guess what? They marched him on. So big club mentality needs to look at the previous 18 months to this game or games and realise ever since that Chelsea game number 11, the brand's been diluting, the football's getting worse. This man is doing nothing to justify having the keys to the safe, and he will take this club further down the sink if he's allowed to continue as the coach of the club.
No, absolutely. I think it's really interesting, guys, because we always use that game. Everyone uses that Chelsea game as the benchmark, because what I had for a very long time, chaps, was people going, oh, well, why just disregard the first 10 games of the season, of last season? But the problem is that first 10 games now, guys, is a long time ago. And the sample size we've had since is 18 months. We've had 18 months of defeat after defeat after defeat. With that in mind, can we turn around and say success in the Europa League, Lubo, warrants staying purely because, forget the league, cups are more important because we're not going to win the league anyway? It's what a lot of people say.
I think it's important to win a trophy for several reasons. I want him out, but it'd be pretty ruthless to get rid of him if he wins the Europa. It's important. Leave is making us more and more irrelevant as a football club. And I think if you're going to get players in, majority of players today, unless you're talking about young kids that you're bringing through, if you buy an established player, the chances are they've probably got financial independence already. So it's not a question of them having that big payoff, to make sure that the family are secure. For them, it's about winning trophies and getting medals on the mantelpiece. So for me, it's really important that Spurs win a trophy ASAP, because the longer it goes on, the more irrelevant we become. And the other clubs, Newcastle have won a cup. You might get any of Forest, Villa or Palace winning the cup this year if two of them one or two of them beat City. So you've got new clubs, one new club winning a trophy, which is really, really healthy for football.
Yeah. And
we are falling further and further behind. Since we won a trophy, Leicester have won a league and a cup. I think Portsmouth won an FA Cup. I think Wigan won an FA Cup. Did Cardiff win a League Cup? I think they beat Bradford, didn't they, in a final, I think, about 13 years ago. You've got all these clubs that are winning trophies since Spurs, and we are being left behind. So for me, it's, the results came out and I put on a tweet today, brilliant figures for ENIC, but what about the football? Look at the league table and it doesn't look that good, does it? So...
See, can I tell you my worry, though? My worry off the back of that is, and Chris, is if he wins the Europa League, we know he's staying. Whether me or you want him to or not is irrelevant, right? He's going to stay. My worry is it then doesn't matter how well he does. Ben, big up. I hear you. But I don't think it then matters what he does the first 3 months of next season. Everyone will come back to, but he won the Europa League. But he won the Europa League. That will be it. He could lose week in, week out. That will be it, won't it, Chris? That's what these fans will say.
Our fans are easily satisfied, and they've forgot what success looks like over the years. And football is a ruthless business. We talk about ruthlessness. Let's not forget Levy got rid of Martin Jol at half time of a game. So he's got no sentiment or emotion. What he has got is a nodding dog and a yes man in Ange. He's probably never had a better manager over recent years to work with on a daily basis. Is he's not confrontational, he's not going to make demands of him, and he doesn't seemingly call him out in the world's media like Conte and Jose did before him. But if we want to run like an elite club, we've got to think like a big club, and we've got to make decisions for the good of the club. And keeping him here for another 3 months is just a fool's move, because we've seen what he's capable of. He's destroying the club. He's worsening young players. He's not improved anybody. He's just stale. There's so many negatives and very few positives.
No, absolutely. And as this gentleman says, I believe he's quite good looking, this guy. I think he's being approached by a modelling agency. He's asked you all to smash the like button. Please do smash the like button. And of course, I have not been approached by a modelling agency. I'm old. I've got lines on my head now. And I've supported Spurs for 2 years. April Fools.
Well done.
The April Fool's modelling agency for the Greeks that don't like fellow Greeks in Angepostecoglou. Funny, yesterday night, right, was brilliant. I got a message through from somebody that said, "You're racist against Ange." And my response was, Ange was born in the same country as my dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just thought that was quite funny. Guys, look, I want to look at, obviously, off the back of the figures yesterday, and we started talking about this earlier, Lubo. But my concern, my massive concern is that we dramatically slashed the wage bill. We dramatically slashed the wage bill in the summer. And as everybody's seen before, this is roughly it, give or take a few pounds. You can see that the number of players that went out on big wages, Tunga and Dombele in the tens, even Perisic earning 9.3 million. Obviously, Harry Kane had gone out previous to that. Hugo Lloris had gone out. Pierre Højbjerg's salary as well. And then you look at what came in. No one of any real note on any big salary there. I mean, Archie Gray, 3.9 million a year. Dominic Solanke, 5 million a year. But all in all, it did mean that we slashed the wage bill circa 30 million pounds. What is the justification for those fans saying Levy will spend this summer? Levy will go and buy some senior pros. Why would he this year? What would be different this year to last year?
I think.
Sean was saying on last night's show that he thinks that Levy's going to make a massive a record transfer purchase. With high wages. I'm not sure what facts there are to back that up, to be honest. So it's listen, it's an issue. If we go out in Europe, then no Europe next season. He's got a squad. They've got to look at. Romero will be going. Maybe one or two others will probably go as well. There are certain players that may, Kulusevski may look at it and think, do you know what? This isn't for me. Who knows? Players want ambitious clubs. They want to see the club they're in is going in the right direction. I think we've got big issues ahead. The summer's going to be interesting. As I said, I think there'll be 3 in, 3 outs. But if he doesn't raise that wage cap, then we're just not going to get the players in that we need. It's okay. It's all right buying players of a certain level. And we're not going to get the top tier players, but if you go for the second tier players rather than the third tier, which we're doing at the moment, then for me, we will continue to be a mid-table team.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, can you see any way in which we go bigger and better? I mean, listen, no offense to the Bergvals and the Greys and the Yangs, but most of them are very cheap transfer fees, cheap salaries. Can you see how that changes?
No, and the biggest concern for me was when we had our game-changing stadium delivered. Since the delivery of that stadium, every year since then, we've reduced the wage bill. And it was to trim the books, make them look more appetising for outside investment. Guess what? That investment's not arrived. We are, 2019, 6 years on. We still haven't got naming rights in place for the stadium. Are these all because Daniel values the club too highly and nobody's prepared to make a realistic match of that estimate? and they're laying the foundations ready. When you saw the notes coming out from the chairman yesterday around sustainable spending and the reduction in revenue because of the lack of European games last season, the reduction of 9. So we're going to be scampering around for free transfers. We're going to be signing around Bosman signings. I don't envisage any way that we're going to make any box office signings, and I don't envisage that we go all of a sudden increase the wage bill. But you look at the wage bill this season, so Regulon will be going in the summer, Fraser Forster will be going, the Højbjerg deal's made permanent, then so you have more money going out the club.
And possibly Romero, Chris, and possibly Romero's on a big salary.
Great loss there is that he doesn't want.
No, but I'm talking about in terms of the wages. In terms of the wages, if Romero, Regulon, Forster, Højbjerg, if they all go on a permanent,
you throw Richarlison into the mix.
Salaries.
You throw Richarlison into the mix. Between those four, you're probably talking close to 400 grand or something extra out of savings. So, interestingly, is Daniel not going to take a pay increase to his salary this year, or is he going to postpone any potential bonus payment? It'd be nice to see him do so, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly. So I'm just bringing up the Tottenham player salaries, just to see who's on what. I kind of know, but I'm just waiting for this to load. Sorry.
Have you got the Deloitte list?
The Deloitte what list?
Deloitte, the list of players' wages from Deloitte that Deloitte have done. I was told that's the one. That's a more accurate one than when you Google transfer market or whatever it is. But Deloitte's, I think, are pretty good. I've been told. I think it comes to around 122, 124 million. I think Arsenal were around 328.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at. Sorry, I don't know why it's not coming up for me here, but yeah, when you look at it, like Fraser Forster's on what 75 grand a week, isn't he? Fraser, Christian Romero's on about 150, and 160, something like that. You know, if those two are going, Reggie's going to be on a decent whack.
Solomon will be out the door. That's got to be 30, 40 grand a minimum.
Exactly. And my worry is that we're literally just going to be going, right, who's the next person we can bring in on 30, 40 grand a week? Now, I'm not saying there aren't diamonds that you can go and get at that salary. For example, you know, Manu Kone, as I always use it as an example. Roma went and bought Manu Kone. He's on a very modest salary. He cost about 18 million euros or 20 million euros. But we don't scout like that, guys. We don't seem to have that ability to scout those players. So I genuinely can't see, and I'm not trying to be negative, I can't see how Spurs break out of this funk. I can't see how we break out of it.
And we got the 150 grand to recoup that Werner's been stealing from us for the last 18 months. So that's a bit of cash in the back pocket.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable.
People have gone to prison for less, I tell you.
Unbelievable how that man has been here twice. That alone should see Lang and Ange sacked. That alone should see those two sacked.
That's just under 12.9 million pounds worth of wages.
Yeah, there you go. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
What, Werner?
Yeah, for the 18 months at 165 a week. 12,870,000.
But I mean, I said this yesterday, guys, and I've said this all season. If we are to go down that youth project, so one of the key things, like Sean said to us yesterday, didn't he? Look, you can see that Spurs have gone down the route of the route of youth. Yeah. If that's the case, it's the worst youth project in history because our goalkeeper's 27.
27.
Right? Pedro Porro's 25. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Christian Romero's 27. Yeah. When Mickey van der Ven's what, 23, 24. Jed Spence, if he plays at left back, is 24, 25.
24, yeah.
Bentancur, Basuma, Madison, Kulusevski, Werner, Solanke, Son, Johnson. What we're saying is this is a youth project because every now and then Archie Gray, Bergvall and Udogie play.
Yeah.
Like If it's a youth project, I'd rather it be a bloody youth project, guys. Get rid of all the old players. If that's the case, turn around and go, right, no one over the age of 24 is playing. Now we're going to build a team. But we don't. We're some sort of half-hearted, hybrid nothingness.
So what you've got, what you've got is a manager that doesn't want kids, and you've got a chairman that's running a wage bill built for kids. So there's a complete disconnect between manager and chairman. So that is where we stand. Listen, you get someone like Bergvall for 8.5 million. What a fantastic deal!
Mm-hmm.
That is an amazing deal. I mean, you get at least 5-6 times that now. I think if someone came in and wanted Bergvall, I think you get 40-50 million easy. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to. Yeah. I think he's going to be a real player. Listen, people buy for the future, Sam. It's not just what they buy, what they're looking at now. A bit like the futures market. They'll look at a player and think, he's a player. He's played several games in the Premier League. He's only a young kid, but he's ahead of where you would expect him to be as a young kid, having played X amount of games. He'd make a big profit on Bergvall already. Deals like that are fantastic. I've got no problem with deals like that. Problem is that we need established players now, and the wage cap is going to stop. So where are we as a club? I really don't know which direction they're going to go.
I think the important question for me, Ian, is it's the sporting director. The sporting director holds the key to the safe. They should be setting the direction, should be setting the youth team coming through. They should be appointing the manager. We see at sixes and sevens there's no coherent approach to football. Everybody's doing something differently, and it's just something messy that it's come back to bite us on the arse.
If I'd have been a chairman coming in 24 years ago, first thing I would have done, because he's not a football man, first thing I would have done if I was Levy, I would have booked myself on a flight to Amsterdam, called Ajax and gone in and just had a chat with them and just see how what their plan, what their project is, their long-term strategy is, because they play to a certain system and they bring the managers in to play to that system. Everything is planned. With us, it just changes all the time. You've got Poch, you've got Nuno, both different. Conte, Mourinho, different, and different again. There's nothing cohesive about even a short-term policy. There is no short-term policy here. Literally, it's whatever happens. It's buying off the cuff, appointing off the cuff. There is nothing planned at our club.
We've got a lack of footballing men at the club, haven't we? Once David Pleat left, once Broomfield left, once Mitchell left. You tell me somebody at that club who actually knows grassroots football and can pick a good player.
Well, that's right.
Well, look, I was about to come on to Arsenal for a second. I'll tell you why in a minute. But just quickly, so I have got the player salaries up here. So, Son, I'll go down. This is from top to bottom. Son is on £190,000 a week. James Maddison's on 170. Romero's on 165. Timo Werner's on 165. Kulusevski's on 110. And they're the 5 players on over 100K. You got Dominic Solanke on 90. Richarlison is on 90. Dragashin's on 85. Porro 85. Davis 80. Tell 80. Bentancur 75. Forster 75. Gray, Adogi 75. Johnson and Sarr 70. Basuma 55. Reggie's on 53. Spence on 50. Mickey's on 50. Then Danso is on 20. Now look at how many of these players have just recently joined. Danso, 25. Odeberg, 25. Austin's on 15. Bergvall's on 15. Whiteman's on 7.5. Kinski is on 15. And you've got potentially Romero going from that list, and Werner's definitely going from that list. Yeah. Sonny could be going from that list because we're probably going to sell him to get some revenue. So all your top earners, other than, again, look, if I was Maddison, I'm putting in a transfer request, but all your top earners, other than Maddison and Kulu, who between them, 170 and 110, you're going to have no one at the club next year, if Romero and Sungo, on over £100,000 a week. You're going to have 2 players on over 100 grand a week.
Well, that's chairman's dream, isn't it?
And Arsenal have got 18, I believe, 18 footballers, I believe, on over 100 grand a week. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about Arsenal, so I know this is a Spurs channel, and I know people go, oh my God, you're talking about something that isn't Spurs. Chris just hit the nail on the head about no footballing people at the club. Arsenal have just, for me, had a masterstroke of a signing, an absolute genius signing of Berta. This is a guy that has got an endless list on his black book, an endless list of contacts in his black book. Look at what he's done at Atletico Madrid over the last 12 years. Look at the players he's seen coming in and some of the players he's seen going out for huge, huge fees he sold them for, right? He will go in. He is not a yes man. He will go in, and I know it. He's going to say, I'm running it. I can guarantee you in his meetings with the Cronkies, he would have gone in and gone, I will join. You're doing what I say. And Arsenal, I think, are going to go up and up and up. That is what you hire in, a top football man that is going to be allowed to get on with it. He's going to be given the money. And I don't know if you guys saw yesterday. Did you see Arteta's interview? Arteta in his interview yesterday, I can't ever imagine our manager being allowed to say this. Arteta turned around and said, it's going to be a massive transfer window for us. We've got a lot planned. It's exciting, right? And the worrying thing is, under Poch, we were better than Arsenal. And in 5-6 years, we've managed to go bub, 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 bub. And they've gone bub, 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 bub. It's embarrassing, guys. It's utterly embarrassing when you just look down the road at them, what they're doing and what we're doing. Look at the caliber they're linked with. They're linked with Zubamendi, Garquerez, right? They're linked with top international players. We're being linked with Rigg of Sunderland, Dibbling of Southampton. Like guys, it's an utter shit show. That's how you run a football club. That's how you run a football club. Sorry, just saying.
Listen, we are a mid-table club.
We are now.
We are. This is where we are. And if you're going to get rid of somebody like Romero, then for me, whoever replaces him is a downgrade. And the downgrade on players continues that we've had since 2019 when Poch left. Apart from Mickey van der Ven, I'm not sure there's any player in our team that would get anywhere close to Poch's team.
I don't think Mickey van der Ven gets anywhere close to Poch's team either. No. He's nowhere near. He's nowhere near the phenomenal out of Viral.
Yeah, and Toby every day of the week. Yeah.
No, he'd be on the bench though, Mickey. He'd be on the bench. I'm not sure there are too many others.
Sure, he can get on the bench, but I can't see. You're right. I can't see anyone else in this 11. I mean, the only one you would say is Son because he was in that 11, right? But this version of Son wouldn't.
No.
Chris, do you agree with that? There's no one from this team that would get in that team, right?
No one at all. No one at all. You think back to the golden era when we had the Dembele in midfield, Wanyama alongside him. We had the galloping fullbacks of Rose and Carl Walker, the 2 Rolls-Royce centre-backs. It's not so long ago, but it feels so long ago.
It's utter madness. How can we? By the way, Gaurav, listen, I'm not saying Dibbling isn't good, but Gaurav, again, it's another kid that's had a few games in the Premier League, and everyone's going, "You've got to buy this kid." We've got loads of them. We do not need. Chris, I want to get your feeling on this. I have said I don't want to see another teenager join Tottenham Hotspur for about 5 years. Tongue in cheek with a number of years, but surely Yang, Odebert, Moore, Gray, Bergval, Vuskovic, Phillips, Kinski, Doge, surely, Valise, surely we don't, Donnelly, Abbott, Hall. Divine, surely we do not need to sign any more children to this football club, Chris.
Mate,
Surely.
We need to buy players for the now, don't we? But that'd be so Tottenham. They'd be happy to pay 100 million for an 18-year-old, but they wouldn't be happy to pay 100 million for a 26, 27-year-old who instantly brings the maturity and experience straight into the side.
But he won't spend 100 million on Dibbling. They won't go near it.
But that's the noises are that it's going to be a hefty old price tag, but we would probably be prepared to pay big money, but we won't when it comes to an established, mature player for the now.
Yeah, it's crazy money. It's crazy money anyway.
Some of those names you mentioned, Savva, we've got to let them go, and they've passed by. Like Ashley Phillips, no chance does he ever feature in a Tottenham shirt. No chance does he ever play in the Premiership. He's been on loan for Stoke and been crap, and he's been on loan at Plymouth, and then he was back on loan at Blackburn Rovers. So that's one whose time's passed him by. But
Chris, we don't know if he's good enough for Premier League level, do we?
I want to smash my head against the brick.
I would suggest that if he was, other Premiership clubs would have probably scouted him and been in for him. But talking to a mate who's got a season ticket at the Potteries, he says he's very, very average.
Is he?
Just quickly. Sorry. I'm biting. Shouldn't bite. I'm biting. Matt, John McGinn is a solid Premier League midfielder playing for an Aston Villa team who are in the quarter-finals of the Champions League, the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and are 3 points off European Champions League football in the Premier League. And you don't think John McGinn would walk into this Tottenham Hotspur team? What? Sorry, guys in the panel, am I going mad here? He'd be our best player. What? Am I going mad here?
I'll tell you who was refreshing to watch at the weekend, and that was that Crystal Palace team under Oliver Glasner. You look at some of the players that he's got his hands on, like Wharton in midfield, and then they just refreshing on the eye. A real pleasure to watch.
Sab, I think Matt's just winding you up. I think he's just winding you up, seriously, because Dibbling and McGinn are different types of players completely. Yeah. So it's not apples for apples here. I'm sure Matt knows that. I'm sure he's just trying to wind you up.
No, I get it, but he said it for months. When I say the ideal player Spurs need, we need a John McGinn. We need a seasoned pro who every week gives you 7, 8 out of 10. He's not good enough for Spurs. What? We're playing people like Papa Sarr in central mid. What are we talking about here? John McGinn is the captain of Aston Villa, who in the 5 years since they came up, yes, they had the little dip with Gerrard. They've just done that, haven't they?
You know who would be perfect for Spurs today?
Go on.
With the way he plays and his attitude and driving and leadership, would be a Graham Roberts. He will be perfect in this team because that's what we need. We are lacking a Graham Roberts type player. Even Paul Miller, who I didn't think was anywhere near Roberts' level. That sort of determination.
We're lacking aggression and we're lacking leadership and we're lacking men on the pitch. We've got too many young boys.
Yeah, they were proper players.
Forwards.
Yeah,
we need men though, guys, because look, one of the key things when we talk about these youngsters, and again, obviously, I know Lubo, we have a very different outlook on this. When we look at these youngsters, one, they've got no one to learn off, right? We can have all these youngsters. If you've got no one to learn off, it doesn't mean anything. Two, if we're playing one game a week next season, and I think people forget this, you're going to have to trim the squad, not add to it. If we play one game a week next season, you've got a lot of footballers there. Again, let's just look at the left-hand side of Tottenham's pitch. Right. Now, whether they're leaving or not, this is who we've got in the summer, right? You've got Son. Solomon will be back from loan. You've got Brian Hill. You've got Odegaard who can play there. Mikey Moore who can play there. Yang who can play there, right? You've got 6 players, I probably missed someone, that can all play off that left-hand side. We're going to be playing one game a week. We've got 5, 6, 7 central midfielders at the moment. Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr, Kulusevski, Maddison. We're going to be playing one game a week. Where do all these players play? So if we don't get Europe, guys, we're going to have to, I reckon you're going to have to see 10 to 12 players go with 3 to 4 seniors coming in. That it's a shit show. It's a mess.
Well, Sav, you say 7 midfielders, you get rid of 1. You need 2 for every position. You got 3 in midfield. You need 6 players. You need 6 players. You can't survive on a squad of 15. You've got to have at least 22, 23, 24. With a couple of you need 3 keepers, and then if you have 2 players for each position, there's your minimum of 23. So.
Sure, but the problem you then get is, let's assume all those central midfielders stay, right? Let's assume they all stay. Even I'll remove the 2 attacking midfielders, right? I'll remove Madison and Kulusevski. Let's say Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr, Bergvall, Gray. 5 central midfielders, right? And we play once a week, and they're fighting for 2 positions. How on earth do players like Bergvall and Gray develop? How does even Sarr, who needs coaching, how do these players develop? How do they grow? Who plays? Because you can't get them all in. And if you're playing once a week, Lubo, how are they all getting minutes? When is anyone going to be rotated? He couldn't rotate this year. That's the key.
What you need is a top manager who can get the team up and running from day one. So everyone's bought into the project for the manager and what he's trying to bring to the club, and they're happy to stay and work for it. Because at the end of the day, every squad has 25 players. You can only start with 11, so that there's always going to be 14 players that are not starting week in, week out. So it is a squad game today. So the problem is,
but my point is, you said.
Hang on, Sav. There's 12 teams, 13 teams in the Premier League every year that don't have Europe, and they survive. I know 5, don't they?
Yes, but the difference is, Lubo, not all 12 or 13 of those teams are going and buying kids like they're going out of fashion, like we are. So if you are going to, you said earlier, if you have a 25-man squad and you want 9 or 10 of them to be good, promising kids, brilliant. How do they play? How on earth, if you're not in Europe, can you have that many youngsters that aren't going to get game time and develop? Next year, can you see a midfield 2? Because Kulu and Madison, when we talk about midfield 3, the attacking midfield position I'm going to remove. Can you see a midfield that Tottenham play of Bergvall and Gray and expecting us to be in the top half of the Premier League?
Depends who the manager is. Depends what's around him. Depends what's around him.
Does it? Okay, so you've got Bergvall and Gray. Now, how's my man Mikey Moore getting minutes? I've got Bergvall, Gray as teenagers. I've now got Mikey Moore as a kid out on the wing. Brilliant, right? Yeah. Where does my mate Vuskovic get minutes?
I think Moore's playing elsewhere. I think he'll be off.
This is the problem. This is the thing. When I always say to you, Lubo, about we've got to stop buying kids, you can't develop all of them. They can't all be developed.
No, but
clubs have a little pool of 4 or 5. 1 or 2 are brilliant. 2 or 3 will be bit part, and they develop. Spurs have got a whole bloody squad of them.
I think listen, some will undoubtedly go.
Sure.
But I think we're looking at it thinking that the same 11 pretty much are going to play week in, week out. That just doesn't happen, does it? It doesn't happen. We're looking at it thinking, come rain or shine, up to Spence coming through, you had the same back 4, didn't you? That Postecoglou would pick when everyone's fit, regardless of whether they're in form or not. He would pick those 4. I think another manager would pick players in form, not pick them just on name only. There wouldn't be a pecking list. There would be, all the players would have the same opportunity with a good manager, and the players would have to work and earn their positions, which happens in every other club. Doesn't happen in our club. It's ridiculous. As I said, before Danso came in, you would have, take Vicario out, you'd have the same back 4. You'd have any 3 from 5. Take Gray and Bergvall out the equation, out of those 7 you mentioned, Sav. So you'd have Solanke, Son, and Johnson as your front 3. So in effect, Ange was picking 11 from 13 every single week.
I agree.
Which was great. Spence and Odebear have now pushed their way into that first 11. So you got 15, and you got Bergvall and Gray around, so you got 17 now. But with a proper manager, players would have to work hard and earn their place. Everything's wrong at the moment.
I agree with you, but the point is, Lubo, and again, surely we can't go out and buy any more like that. Surely there can't be Riggs, there can't be Dibblings, and it's not that I don't think Dibbling's a good player with talent. Yes, he is, but surely we've got a million of those. And if you look at the number of players we've got under the age of 21, 22 at this football club, right? If you go from back to front, you've got Keeley and Kinski in goal, right? You've got two there. You've then got Destiny Udogie, right? Vuskovic, Phillips, Dorrington. I'm messing with Phillips, Dorrington. You've then got Bergvall, Gray, Devine, Hall, Donnelly, Lancashire, Valise, Yang, Moore, Odeber. I'm up to 16. Surely we don't need Chris to go and buy any more. Surely we've got to develop some of them, haven't we?
I think what we need to do is establish who's going to be the coach next season and ask what they want, because we're in danger of buying too many club signings to try and develop and move on in the future with a hefty profit. Yeah. But it's all about who's going to be taking the reins of the club next season and what's their vision. So a lot of these players aren't going to fit what they want. So they're going to be off out on loan, or they're going to be leaving the club. So we're just in a mess at the moment. There's no consistency. There's no logical idea of a sensible plan taking place.
But there is no plan at the club. That's the problem. Mm. There hasn't been any plan, literally, apart from Poch's 5.5 years.
We've been winging it. We've been getting away with it, and
they just wing it. They just
come back on the arse. We need somebody who's going to create a bit of a dynasty, and if that would be a younger candidate who we actually get behind, as all our fans have adored Ange and got behind him. I'd hope they'd do the same if we brought in a Kieran McKenna or a young coach who we say, okay, give you 5 years, take these young players, see what you can do.
I just never done that.
No, and that's what if we get change, and we've got all the happy clappers telling us we're cooking, we're steaming, we're got all these youngsters who are going to be world beaters, they're ballers, let them prove they are. Let's get behind the coach and give it 5 years.
But you know what, you talk about Arsenal, we haven't got someone like a David Dean who in the mid-90s went to Japan, I think, and got Wenger.
Yeah.
Because he knew about football. He'd followed Wenger at Monaco.
I'll ask you the question.
When Holland was there.
I'll ask you the question. All the hangers-on that Levy's got with him at the club. Tell me what Munn does on a daily basis at Tottenham Football Club.
Nobody knows. No one knows.
And then Johan Lang, what we know is he's bloody terrible, and Villa were happy to see the back of him. And if you believe what you read, he was almost in tears that he couldn't get the Mathis-Tel deal done. So they had to parachute Levy himself and Angin to salvage it. And if that's the case, that bloke should have been given his P45 and marched out the building.
Well, let's see. I think the interesting thing also this summer is will Paratici join once his ban finishes? I think it's around June 25.
26, yeah.
Yeah, whether Paratici signs on and then signs on to run the whole football side. If you bring in Paratici, you don't need Munn, you don't need Lange. Paratici will bring in Gabbianini, I'm sure he'll bring him back. And he did a great job sorting out the scouting network that was in an absolute mess when Paratici came. And that was Levy and Hitchens running the show there. It's people don't know they're not aware of the job. They're not aware of the job that Paratici has done for Spurs. He did a superb job. Not all of the players that came in have been successful.
No.
But he picked up for Conte because they were Conte players, Porro and Udogie, because Conte was there at the time and he wanted wing backs. So he picked up two very good wing backs. Let's forget about how they're playing.
Imagine Porro and Udogie under Glasner.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Yes, he's got his faults. He's not the perfect specimen, but he knows football. And I would rather somebody who knows football and has been around the game and has been involved in the murky deals and things than some of the people that we've got who have spent their whole childhood playing Championship Manager, and that's evidenced in what they deliver at the club, as they're not up to it, and we're just accepting sloppy seconds.
If you're a board member and your CEO is paying you 7 figures every month, every year, shall I say, are you going to go into battle with him and say, hang on, Gaffer, I think you're doing this wrong?
Well, this is where
Levy
is the only CEO who is accountable to nobody and would never have fallen on his sword for past failures. You name me a blue chip organisation on the globe, you won't find one.
I agree. Do you know what, guys, though? I do feel as well, we're talking about some of the youth players. I do feel like we get very sentimental. And what I mean by that is, again, I'm going to use Aston Villa as an example because I think they're the perfect example of what you can do in a short space of time. Look, I'll take you back to the Champions League final, right? I know it was an awful, awful watch. I'll take you back to the Champions League final. If I'm not wrong, that season, Aston Villa were getting promoted from the Championship.
Yeah.
Right? And in that 5 to 6 years, Aston Villa have got to a stage now where they're spending big on players. They're paying proper wages. They're not scared to move players on. They're bringing players in, moving them out quickly. If something's not working, they're mixing it up. People keep telling me, they're not as good as last year. I completely disagree. Last year, all right, they finished in the top 4, but this year they're balancing Champions League football as well. Only 3 points off Champions League in the league, a cup semi-final, a Champions League quarter-final. I think they're better. What I really admired about them was this. They had got a player like John Duran, right, who's a good goal scorer, right? I think we can all agree. John Duran, good goal scorer, right? He wants to leave. Cool. See you later. Bish, bash, bosh. Off you go, right? Villa don't mess about. There's no 3 months. There's none of their fans going, oh, my God, what we're going to let John... Hang on.
I think they needed that for PSL. I'm sure they probably needed that. That helped them out of a hole, didn't it?
Sure, but they don't mess about. There's none of their fans are sitting there going, oh, my God, John McGinn's gone, or this. Look at Jadon Philogene, right? Jadon Philogene, they signed from Hull, if I'm not wrong, in the summer, right?
And he's gone already.
Right, and then they sold him in the January window for a profit. None of their fans are sitting around like our fans are for Moore and for Yang and for Bergvall and for Gray. It was like, Philogene, come in, turnover. He goes out, and the very next week, they're bringing in Asensio and Rashford, right? That's a proper football club. We've got fans going, wouldn't want Rashford. What? Sorry, you wouldn't want Marcus Rashford when we've got Odegaard, Yang, Moore, Richarlison.
You want Memphis Tell instead. Yeah, explain that one to me. Yeah.
This is the point. We wanted Tell, but Rashford wouldn't want him, right? Asensio. They're going and getting Asensio. He's a top player, by the way, Marcus Asensio. They're going and getting Asensio, paying him big wages. He's already scoring goals in the Champions League, in FA Cups, in the Premier League. Look at the difference between the two clubs because they've got a football man in there. They've got Monchi now. They've got Monchi at Aston Villa. He's Monchi, isn't it? They've got Monchi at Aston Villa.
But you've hit the nail on the head there just now when you said about wages. These players are not considered because you won't pay the wages.
Sure. But the thing is, Lubo, as well, but we've still got fans that are going, I remember when Aston Villa were in talks of Asensio, I had fans coming into my chat going, he's not that good anyway. And I'm going, are you kidding me? The other day, we started like Werner and Brennan Johnson on our wings, and we're talking about Asensio. So Villa have accumulated this forward line. Listen to this as their options, right? Villa have accumulated in a year and a half, 2 years. Watkins was there. We know that, right? Watkins, Asensio, Rashford, Bailey, Rodgers. I think I'm missing one, but right.
Murphy.
Who's that?
Is there Murphy play for them? Who was
Daniel Marlon from Borussia Dortmund. And you're looking at that going, which three is he going to pick today? You're looking at Spurs going, does it really matter which three he picks? Like, Son's been poor, Johnson, Tell, Solanke's not really done anything in a Spurs. Like, how have Aston Villa in 5 years gone boom and overtaken us that drastically? That for me is mind-boggling, Chris. How that has happened from Championship to Champions League quarterfinals in 5 years. I wouldn't put it past them knocking out PSG as well. I'm not saying they will, but Unai Emery is a top coach. They've got a top coach, a top director of football. They pay the salaries. I'm just embarrassed. Sorry,
they're having a good go at it, and they've got people in football positions. Yet, look how small their stadium is. So they can't be saying it's because of the lack of revenue, is it?
I looked at the league record of PSG this season. Have you seen it?
Looked at the what? Sorry,
PSG's league record this season.
Go on.
They've won every game bar 5 that they've drawn in the league. I think they're 21 points clear. I mean, in terms of PSG years, we know they've been dominating for, since the Qataris, I think, came in. But they've never dominated like this.
I had the last other night. I caught some of PSG on the satellite, and it was I was watching that Desmond Doué for about 20 minutes. Absolutely exceptional, absolute lightning. And I think we missed out on him, and then we had people trying to cover it up and paper over the crack by saying, "Yeah, but we got Odegaard. He's just as good." I was thinking, honestly,
it's levels, isn't it, Chris?
That bloke can't beat his fullback more in the opening 5 minutes of that game than all of ours have done all season.
But listen, the key thing is, though, if you look at PSG this year, it's the first year that they've dropped this Galactico type thing. Because I always said, when you had Messi or Neymar or Mbappe, you want one. You want one as the icing on the cake. You don't want 2 or 3. They had 3, didn't they? They had 3. Now you watch them play. I mean, their midfield 3 is the best midfield 3 in Europe for me.
Yeah.
Only for me personally. Ruiz, Vitinha, and Neves. What a bloody talented midfield 3. They're all about 4 foot. It reminds me of the Xavi and Iniesta type partnership. All very technically good, all very skillful, all like to pass the ball, all have good engines, all break up play. You look at that, and then you look at the forwards that they're accumulating, young talent. Now, when we're talking about young talent, Doué, Barcola, we're talking about really good young talent. We're not talking about, we bought Yang and he's gone on loan to QPR, and we're talking about top young talent from across Europe. That's a top team. But again, they've got people in there that know football. We haven't got anyone who knows football. We've got a manager that hasn't got a black book. And what I mean by that is, over the years, who's he been buying for Celtic and teams in Japan and Australia? He's not going to any of the bigger clubs and wheeling and dealing. He's going to, all due respect, he's going to Japan, South Korea. He's going to these countries and getting these players that are little gems. And I'm not knocking that. Fair play. But what you need as gems in Celtic aren't what you need as gems at Tottenham Hotspur. And I just feel like we're playing a different game to everyone else, guys. I feel like we are literally playing a different sport to everyone else. I don't see an infrastructure. I don't see a plan. I don't see a coach. I don't see a coaching team. I don't see good scouts. This club is, and I don't care what Sean said last night.
Yeah,
the finances can look great, but we're a shit show.
Again, we need to press the reset button and go again, and actually get the right people in and do the basics, and then see where that leads us. We're never going to win anything under this ownership.
You see, if you had a normal thinking businessman, then he would actually look at it and think to himself, do you know what? I'm 24 years down the line. On one side, I've got it right. On the other side, I've got it horribly wrong. Let me get hold of people that I know in football. Let me understand who are the best people, who would be the best people to interview to come in and run the football side. And then let them run it.
Mm.
Not,
Yeah, sure.
not let them run it with your hands all over it, you know. But we haven't got that. Levy won't do that. He won't allow anybody to come in, have a free rein and run it.
Sure.
And the problem is that they are traders and they're very risk averse. So when you're risk averse, you tend to hold back. You pull people back. You don't let them have free rein. And they have tried to bring their style of business into football and try to change the way football runs business-wise. And the results that they have got this year in the figures are only down to bringing in, using the stadium correctly, which, give him credit, you know, he's built this stadium. It's a multi-purpose stadium. He's bringing in other events that are making money that have basically saved the balance sheet this year.
Yes, they have massively.
Yeah, so he's done a good job there. But that's on the non-football. Again, it's non-footballing. It's nothing to do with football. The football side, the profits have dropped. And this, you know, this is where we are. So until we get a new owner, you know, it would be easy. I always said if you had Levy on business and Irving Scholar's love and passion, you mix those two chairmen, you could get someone who could quite possibly win the league.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we haven't got that. And we've got a chairman that doesn't know about football, so knows about business, so runs the business side okay. But the football side, he's got away with it because he's had good people in the past that he's lost, in Paul Barber, Michael Edwards, I'm trying to think who else there's been.
Mitchell.
Paul Mitchell, that's right. Yeah. Kane on the football side, you've had managers like Redknapp, Poch that have come in, Conte, Jose that have come in and hidden, papered over the cracks. But they've all gone now. And there's nowhere to turn now. And what he's done is, unfortunately, he's brought in Munn, who is not, okay, he did football with the City Group, but that was Australia. Running a football team in the Premier League or Europe, the top European sides, is a completely different cup of tea to running a team in Australia. So he's come into a game, he's come into a league several rungs above what he's worked in. He's brought in Ange. You know, his network book must be really poor if he's brought Postecoglou in.
Yeah.
So you've got the blind leading the blind leading the blinds, leading our football team, and this is where we are. We're 14th. We're out of both domestic cups. We are still in Europe, but probably, you know, very unlikely to win it. Although, you know, if you're still in it, you've got a chance. But looking forward, if he did win the Europa, you'd say you know, he's done what you brought him in to do, so you couldn't turn around and say, thanks, you've won us a trophy, now go, because I think that's wrong. And I even think what Chelsea did was wrong. But Chelsea didn't get rid of him immediately. I think Di Matteo they got rid of in November.
I think
because they could see that having won the trophy, they weren't moving it on. He wasn't moving it on.
There's no place for sentiment, is there, in professional business or professional sport, and we've got to detach from that. Yeah. Not being prepared to let go. And if you want to be the best at something, you've got to be ruthless and cutthroat, and that's what we should be doing.
Just quickly, Alex, I'm not sure where you're going with this. I said again, Ian, why should Levy go and why should Ange Levy is doing the job we want? By we,
it's April Fool's Day, Sav. It's April Fool's Day.
Say, who's we? He's definitely not doing the job we want, Alex. Look, I don't want to go forever.
Let's have words with Alex at the protest on.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alex will be walking around with his Levy in poster. You know, walking around with the march singing "We Want Levy In." Look forward to seeing you Sunday, Alex.
Look, I don't want to go forever. I'm going to wrap up in the next 10 minutes, next 5-10 minutes. But look, guys, it just goes to show for me that there are clubs that have put things in place. And when I see people celebrating the finances, when I see people saying, look how good it is, sure, I'll celebrate the finances when all the other ducks are in a row. You know, I'll celebrate the finances if you've got me a Berta as a director of football. When you're actually going and buying Asensio's in your... Listen, I'm not saying that one player, but as an example, we go and get Matisse Tell, Villa gets Asensio. The levels are just... It's frightening. The gap is frightening how bad we are. So, yes, I will celebrate. Yay, well done, the finances. Well done, Daniel Levy. If everything else in the garden is rosy. But the problem is, at the moment, all we're celebrating is the finance. And we're looking over at the manager is shit. The squad isn't fit for purpose, right? The scouting is diabolical. The coaching seems to be non-existent. The tactics are non-existent. The director of football is awful. What does Scott Munn do? So when you look at all of that, I can't look at one aspect and go, what a great chairman, what a great businessman. What does that mean for me as a fan? What it means for me as a fan is I'm watching Spurs every week going, who's going to beat us this week? Who are we going to embarrassingly lose to today? How are we going to collapse this week? That's where I am, guys. I'm not even angry anymore. I used to come on and spit venom, and now I'm like, I'm embarrassed. That's where I'm at. It's not just that other football fans of other clubs are mocking us. I'm embarrassed that we've got fans in our own club that want this. That's where I'm at. We got fans that back the manager. We got fans that back the chairman. We got fans that, oh no, Johan Lang, he's done well. You young player. What are we backing here? What are
guys, just touching on what you were saying about the Villa players, this is where we are as a club, where we are picking up a 19-year-old reserve from Bayern Munich, and Villa are picking up internationals because we can't get those internationals. Where we are as a club now, those internationals like Kolo Muani turned us down. They're not coming to Spurs.
But surely for a 10 million loan fee and potential 50 million final payment, we could find a lot better in the world when you scout the whole of the universe for 60 million pounds than this reserve out of.
But Chris, that's only about Tell is only of interest because Bayern Munich owes Spurs money for Kane.
But
so
again,
it's a financial situation. It's not based on this. Tell could well, watching him play for France under 21s, he looked a player last week in a proper system. The proper coach.
Another one for the future, Luke.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just always the future, isn't it?
Right.
By the way, Aston Villa, I've just checked, have 14 players on over £100,000 a week. And their highest paid player, anyone want to guess?
I will go for Rashford.
£300,000 a week.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Levy? Imagine anyone saying to Levy, we can get this guy on loan, but he's going to cost you 300 grand a week.
Nobody's allowed to earn more than Levy at the club. Remember that.
Mad. Absolutely mad. And by the way, Asensio apparently is only on 116 grand a week. I don't know whether that's what Villa are paying of his wages, but we can't even get these. We've gone and got Tell. He's another one. What you get is, this is what you get in our fan base. If I say about Tell, what I get, when Lumen goes, Savva Rashford is not a Villa player, you do realise they're paying his wages, Lumen. You do know how loans work. You agree how much of the wages you're going to pay. So, yes, they are paying a huge...
I think I read it was 2/3. I think Villa are paying 230 out of 350. I think. I might be wrong.
I mean, compared to us going to get Tell, it's a lot of money, isn't it? Right? But we're saying, when people say things like this, can't we be better as football fans? Why is the word trash used? Right? You've got... Let's look at this, right? You've got Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, that's gone, I like him. He's going to be in my squad. You've got Unai Emery, serial winning manager, gone, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to make him my highest paid player on loan. But yet we've got fans going, Rashford is trash. He's not trash. He's hit and miss. And he's a player that for me, he's another one, a good player that's been ruined by Man United and their uncertainty. We can't call players like this trash, can we?
Yeah, we embrace Richarlison on a weekly basis and say how good he is.
Let me put this out there. Tell's on 80 and Werner's on 165. So if you put that 245 a week into a top player, and Werner and Tell have done nothing, have they, really, for the club?
No, nothing.
But if you bring in one top player, and this has always been the issue, we bought lots of players who are on lower wages, lower transfer fees, by and large. If you look at, we're averaging about 25 million a year. In fact, I think Terry O'Shea put up that since Enoch came in, we're averaging just over 20 million pound per transfer at the moment.
Yeah.
Net spend.
It sounds about right.
Something like per year, 20 million pound net spend. 510 in 25 years. So it was like when we sold Bale, I think we sold Colin Calderwood, and there was one other player. I think we got 107 million in, and they spent all the money on 7 players.
Yeah.
And the only player that was successful, properly successful out of those 7 was Ericsson. Lamella could have been, but again, unfortunately, he was made of glass. And he showed up in flashes. The rest of them forget. So you got one.
Lamella we kept for 9 years, by the way. We kept Lamella for 9 years.
So instead of buying 3 really good players for those 107 million pounds, we went and bought 7. And that's always the problem. Everything is done on the cheap it's all about finances instead of football. Go and get a top player in and pay him. You can get plenty of good players in for 245 grand a week. I don't understand it. It hasn't worked. 1 trophy in 24 years shows it hasn't worked. Those are the facts. People can talk about everything else that's subjective opinion. That is fact. 1 trophy. And people will turn around and say, well, there have been finals where we haven't turned up. Yes, I agree. There are finals that we haven't turned up that we should have done better. But if the managers had all been backed better, maybe we'd have had better players with better winning mentality that would have been in that team and would have dragged us over the line the way players like King, Woodgate, Berbatov, Keane dragged us over the line against Chelsea in 2008 in the League Cup final. And there's today's thought.
No, absolutely. And I think that this goes to show, like somebody said here, if Bentancur gets a new contract, I really think it does show where we are as a club. We're too sentimental. We've kept Ben Davies for what? Has he been here 11 years, 12 years? I mean, all the will in the world, seems like a nice lad, an honest pro, but that 12 years of keeping Ben Davies has kind of summed up to me our complete lack of wanting to progress as a football club. And every year, you watch this summer, will be the same. This summer, there'll be videos saying, keep Ben Davies. He's a good squad player. He's a good club pro. You watch. I
must tell you, sir, funny thing is, you look at, listen, it's been really poor this season. But Davies has done okay when he's come in. He's done all right.
Yeah, but
he hasn't let us down.
Yeah, but this is the thing, Lubo. We're now at the stage where that's where we're at. We're going, he's done all right when he comes in. Ben Davies wouldn't be at any other club that has any. Ben Davies wouldn't get in at Arsenal. Right? Ben Davies wouldn't get in the Liverpool squad. Ben Davies wouldn't get in.
Expensive, aren't they? Particularly strong.
But let's be fair. They're not buying a Ben Davies in the first place, right? This is the point. Like, look, I am going to leave it there, guys. Look, we are playing. I was going to talk about Chelsea, but I'm guessing you guys have got to wrap up soon. We'll talk about Chelsea. We've got 2 days between Chelsea. Look, keep an eye, everyone, tonight. Keep an eye on Wolves. If Wolves win tonight, they close that gap to us to 5 points. And all of a sudden, we could be looking at finishing 16th or 17th in the Premier League table. So anyway, Lubo, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. Good chat. Good to
get a word in today.
Yes, yes, you did. Well done. Well done on that. Chris, thank you for joining. Really appreciate your input as always, mate. And Anthony Clark chucked in a super sticker. Thank you, Anthony. Always appreciate you. Always, always, always. Let us know, Anthony, what you think about your new guy, Berta. I am very jealous of that. D&B forever with a super sticker. Big up to you, my man. Really appreciate that. And Kobe Mead. Big up, Kobe. I said, we don't need a big window. We need an areola. Listen, I think areola is what you mean, not an areola. But yes, we do. We need a coach. As I've said, more than anything, more than any signings we make this summer, we've got to get a coach. If we don't get a coach, I don't care what we do in the summer transfer window. It won't mean anything. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you all, even you tight gits that aren't subscribing and helping me get to the 17K. I don't think I'm ever going to get there. I truly don't think I'm ever going to get there at this stage. Take care, everyone. Much love. And as always,
I have one thing. Red Rebellion said protests won't get Levy outs. Does Red Rebellion think that United would have sold Jim Ratcliffe 25%, but for the protests of their fans? It's the thoughts.
I kind of agree with Red Rebellion on this one, I'm afraid. I genuinely don't think we haven't got time now. I genuinely don't think it's going to do anything. That's just me. Listen, there's other days, other shows. Take care. And as always, come on.
Leave it out.